Hey everybody, this is Matthew Saville with SLOlounge.com. In today's episode of How We Shot It, we're going to get into this tide pool panorama here. It's a pretty complex shot. I'm panning in a vertical direction here, and there's a lot of different considerations and obstacles to overcome here. But let's get into it, and we're going to talk about in this video simply how to capture the original frames that would go into a shot like this. So it comes up to something like this, and that is what you're going to wind up with. So let's get into this video. Okay, so how do you accomplish the final image like this from the original frames that look like this? And there's three main things that we have to tackle here. And let me go out of the mode here so that you can see the information here. So yeah, what I have is this final panorama, and the three things that are going to go into it are, of course, panning upward from the foreground here that's just a few inches or a foot away from the camera to the horizon here that's going to be at infinity and all that stuff. With all of this in between looking perfect. So I have to pan up like that. And then also, of course, this is going to be an HDR because the foreground here is in complete darkness and the horizon here has, of course, a sunset. So I'm going to be panning and bracketing like this so that the shots are going to have to bracket like this, of course. And then the last thing is focus. If we have a look at this shot here, where I was shooting a few days ago, and if you zoom in, you can see that there's plenty of sharpness here, but if I zoom into the horizon here, even at f11, I'm not going to get this sharp. So those three things, and if you zoom in on this one, you can see that I've got sharpness here, and then it stays sharp as I pan up and even get further away, closer to the horizon, closer to the horizon. Even the horizon here has sharpness. So to accomplish that, I'm going to have to do three things. I'm panning up, and then I'm bracketing my shots into an HDR, and I'm also adjusting focus. So let's talk about the adjusting the focus first. If it's a single one shot like this, what I could do is I could simply frame my shot and then take 3 or 2 shots and then just change my focus. I could stop down to f22 and get it close, but then diffraction would start to soften the whole image, and this horizon might not still be perfect. So what I would want to do is stay at f11, but bracket the focus. So I would shoot one shot where this is sharp, and then I would shoot another photo where this middle area was sharp, and then I would shoot a final image where this is sharp. So that's how I would do it if it were a single shot. If it's multiple shots, I'm going to shoot these frames here like this, and I would look at my lens and see, okay, the marking is 1 foot away from the lens or so, 1 foot away, the distance scale on the lens. And then I would change focus for this area here while I'm shooting new images, and then finally I would end up at infinity. And then I would have to carefully blend each shot together so that as I create the shots, the top end of the shot has focus, this direction for towards infinity, and then as I'm shooting these shots, the lower end of the shot has to have focus that matches this area, and then the top end of the shot has to have focus that matches that. It's simple layer masking. We'll get into that maybe in another video, but yeah, that's the first calculation consideration for accomplishing that. The next thing is bracketing all of these shots. And let's have a look at the originals here. In the foreground, you can see that I'm at a 15-second exposure at f16 and ISO 200. But if you look at the horizon, I'm at a 20th of a second f16 ISO 200. So that's what, like a 7 or an 8 stop difference from here to here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be bracketing each shot, each frame of the panorama. So here's the far area, the infinity area. And so these two shots are going to have the same focus. But then when I start same focus and same exposure, but when I start doing the pan, I'm going to start bracketing so that this shot is one, but then this frame here is going to be bracketed for exposure and for focus maybe as well. But I'm going to bracket this shot for exposure so that the top area can match this shot, and I can use this shot to blend to merge to the top in the panorama. And then the bottom area is going to have to match this area here, the top of this frame here. So you're going to wind up with maybe 2 or so frames in the middle here where you have to start blending the top and bottom of each shot for both exposure and focus. It's the same concept as a regular HDR, but you're just going to pay extra attention to the top and bottom of each frame towards the middle. So like I said, this is going to match this, and then this area here is going to match, so that when you get down to the very bottom, this is going to be one exposure, one focus, and this is going to be one exposure, one focus. So anyways, that's about it for the technical aspect of creating these original images. The last thing, of course, is how on earth do you pan in that method, in that direction, to get those original frames? Well, the answer is something crazy like this. I've got an Oben tripod here that I'm doing a review on, which we'll publish shortly. But basically, it's got this arm that allows me to lower the tripod really close to the water. I'm probably just inches away from the surface of the water here, and then I can see the horizon up here, and I can pan down to get this foreground here like that. So I'm using a tripod like this so that I can get a clear area to pan without getting my tripod legs in the shot, while also getting my camera very, very close to the water. Now, of course, if you have money to spend, you can get a few $100s worth of panoramic gear to use at the end of your tripod ball head area here, so that you can pan in a single sweep, in a single direction, and pan over a nodal point. I don't want to get too geeky, but if you want to, if you're really into panoramas, then you can get equipment that allows the images to blend much more seamlessly and allows you to pan much more easily. But for this shot, I made this photo in 2006, and I was a poor college student, so all I had was a setup similar to this, where I had a single tripod and a ball head, and I just carefully panned upward and then bracketed the shots for focus and exposure, and then just carefully merged them afterwards. You get a lot of error for perspective and parallax and things like that, but with the right amount of warping and blending, it can all come together. So anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode of How We Shot It. And I hope that you have a better understanding of how you would accomplish a shot like this. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in our next tutorial. Take care.